Hello, 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 hello. Welcome. Give people a couple of minutes to show up. If you're here live, please comment below. So happy to have you here. If you're new to my world, you've never ever seen me below, please comment. I would love to meet you. And if we're old friends and you've been in my world for a while, thank you for your support. And also say hi because we're friends. Um, I'm really excited today about the topic I have for you. It's something that I don't hear talked about pretty much at all. Okay. The title I've given it is The Stories That Keep Us Stuck. Okay. And what this is something that so many of us smart, loving, caring women do to subconsciously sabotage the kind of love we want to create. So, who I'm talking to today is you, powerful, beautiful, wonderful women who are getting a glimpse of how powerful you might be, who are realizing that your desires and your dreams matter, and you want to bring that home to your marriage. You want to have an amazing, romantic, passionate, deep, deep connection with this man. You want to be with him. This is your person. And yet you struggle. And yet you feel a disconnect or a dissatisfaction or just something in you that's like, "Ugh." It's a bit of a pang or a bit of a longing or a bit of an emptiness, perhaps a numbness, okay? This is for you. You can have the deep and expansive love. And to have that, you're going to need to go deeper into yourself. And today, that's what we're going to talk about. We're going to talk about the shadow that's operating in our blind spot, and it is deeply sabotaging your capacity to have the love you want. Okay. So, the women who do this the most, and ask me how I know, are the women who are the most interested in psychology, in self-help, in consciousness, in healing, in therapy. Brene Brown, like we're like all in it. We're like, this is so interesting. I love it, love it, love it, right? Soaking it up. Okay. And the story that we tell ourselves in general is that we cannot have what we want. We cannot have the love we desire because our husbands will not do his inner work. Okay, that is the big story. We're going to get into detail a bit about it. But he over there refuses to face his shadow. He refuses to heal his trauma. He refuses to have the conversations with you. And you're like, ooh, if only, right? So this is the story that we say. So, what are stories? And why do we call them stories? Stories are the narratives we build around the emotions and patterns of relating we experience, okay? It's a narrative. So, for example, perhaps you experience discomfort around your husband and you see that he seems unhappy or he's speaking in a tone that puts you on edge, right? He doesn't want to talk about his feelings, okay? And he doesn't want to have conscious conversations, okay? So when you have that experience, that reality with your partner, you have some feelings that go with it. Some of them might be really big. You might feel disappointment, right? You might feel longing. Oh, and you're like, oh, like it's so close, but so far away, right? You might feel fear. Like, what if it's always going to be like this? Like, what if that's it? You might feel sadness. You might feel grief, right? For what could have been, for the emptiness or the loneliness you've experienced. And when you feel those big feelings, they're very uncomfortable and you don't know what to do with them. So, in order not to feel them fully, we create a story about them, okay? The feelings are there. They're real. They're not good or bad. They're not right or wrong. But the story is the next thing we layer on top. And some common stories are, raise your hand if this is familiar, we give him a diagnosis, right? We become an armchair therapist and we're like, well, what if he is a narcissist? What if he has avoidant attachment style? What if he is, got some kind of covert thing? He's neurodivergent, he's autistic, we women, we can get together and we're like, we're musing on this and we've got our references and we got our podcast and we're like, I think my husband's this. We become experts at diagnosing him. Now, this is a story we are telling ourselves, hopefully not him, but maybe we went there. This is a story we are telling ourselves about why we have these feelings. That's what it is, okay? Are you right? Possibly. Is it an accurate story? Maybe, but your story's keeping you stuck, okay? We'll get into that further down, okay? Here's another classic story. He won't change because XYZ. He won't change because he's afraid of vulnerability. He won't change because his whole family's like that. Oh, that's the next one, family of origin. We'll get into that, right? His mother was toxic. His father was toxic. He didn't have parents. He didn't see models, right? So we get deeper into the whys and wherefores, the backstory of this villain perpetrator. Maybe you feel sorry for him. Maybe you feel angry at him, but you create a whole narrative, a big story about him, right? Here's another one. We tell the story of how he's hurt me in the past, right? What this is we keep a meticulous record of wrongs. Now, you're not trying to be a bitter, you're not trying to hold on resentment, but he just keeps turning the knife in that same way. He just keeps poking that same wound, right? And so this is the story we tell, which says he always talks to me like I'm an idiot. He always is controlling. And these are the ways. Bop, 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 bop. And when you talk with your girlfriends or when you talk to yourself, it's this narrative, this story. He did this, he did this, he did this. Therefore, he's controlling. Therefore, he, is going to hurt me again in such a way, right? These are all stories. Do you feel the stuckness of these stories? I want you to kind of go, oh yeah, when I think that thing, insert your own story and feel the dead end that hits you in the face. The stuckness. It's because you're creating a finite narrative about this man, which now boxes him completely in. And because you're married, it boxes you in with him, right? It is very, very stuck. It does not feel good. Okay. So probably some of you are relating to this. Comment below if you do, but we'll go a little bit deeper. How do you know if this is you? How do you know if you're creating stories? Okay. Number one, you find yourself fixating on his flaws and his shortcomings. Well, he never was very empathetic. He's always been a bit cold. He is pretty inconsiderate and it is kind of his thing, right? And you're thinking about how he is and what he is and how he lives a lot. Maybe you're researching on it. If you have your energy over there in his court, this is a problem you face. And I'm not judging you. I go there. This is a very human pattern. Like I said, especially for women who are in the self-development field, who are in love with this whole body of work, which I love. I love listening to other life coaches. I love taking in the podcasts and reading about attachment and hormones. And I love it. It's absolutely fascinating. And it can be used as a way to block my own capacity to receive love if I then use it to armchair diagnose my husband, okay? Oh, here's a good one. You consume self-help on his behalf. This is when you're like, oh, this is the perfect one for him. This podcast, this would be, the men's work. You're listening to the men's work. You're listening to this other person who deals with that kind of problem because then you can hand that off to him. You are out of bounds, sister. You are not in your lane. You are completely on the wrong side of the fence if you are consuming self-help on his behalf, okay? And to put this all with a bow, you are relentlessly trying to figure him out. What is this man's thing. How does he work? Why does he do what he do? You're trying to put all the pieces together. You're like the paranoid schizophrenic who's got all the needles in the wall and all the pictures and all the strings connecting to it. Ladies, we are guilty of this kind of neuroses. We do it a lot. Now, are we bad people? No. Do we have our hearts pure? Yes, we are just trying to get what we need and we don't know how. So we think he has what I need. Let me go figure it out. Let me go put all those pieces together, right? Wrong. Unfortunately, this is a dead end. And if you continue with this strategy, you will stay stuck. Actually, you will become more stuck over time. You'll notice the what works, self-defeating, or the way this doesn't work, because it will get worse over time. You'll notice by how you feel. The more you engage in things that are none of your business, the worse you will feel, okay? Because it is disempowering at its core to spend your energy in someone else's head, to spend your life figuring out someone else's stuff, okay? If you can relate to this, I'm going to share with you why this is a problem and what you can do instead. Okay, so what is the purpose of these stories? Anytime we do something, here's a question you can ask yourself. Two questions that I use. One, how am I creating this? And two, what's the payoff? Right? If we're doing something, and if we're doing it a lot, there's definitely a psychological or emotional payoff for that thing you're doing. The reason stories are so seductive is because we use them to protect ourselves from feeling the feelings we're having. That's it. We're scared of the feelings. We don't want to feel them. We don't know how to feel them. We're overwhelmed by them. So we insert a bunch of narrative, a big psychological block right here between our head and our heart, so that we don't have to feel those feelings that we're having with ourselves, that we're having with our husbands. We just go intellectual. These stories keep us in our head in analysis, judgment, and critique. There's a safety to analysis, judgment, and critique because we can feel right. Here we are in the judge, jury, and executioner seats. We are not on the chopping block ourselves. We are, from an objective viewpoint, viewing our husbands. So there's a safety in this. There is a self-righteousness. I'm sorry, ladies, but we can go there. We think that we are more evolved. We think we are more emotionally mature. I'm not saying you haven't done a lot of work. I'm not saying that you don't deserve credit for the depths you've gone to. But the shadow of this path is superiority. Subtle psychological and emotional superiority to others, and particularly to our men. And when I caught this piece, I was humbled to my core. There is something really yuck about it. It's kind of disgusting. I'm sorry. But it's very human. Like I said, it comes from an honest and a genuine place. Okay. The other reason we love stories is they keep us out of our hearts and out of our bodies. The body and the heart doesn't tell a story. It experiences sensation. It experiences love. It experiences fear. It experiences joy. All the goody, juicy, amazing stuff we want to have come from our hearts and our bodies. So when we go intellectual, when we go up to our heads, we are preventing ourselves from the delight we can experience, but we're also avoiding the depths of grief. We're also avoiding the depths of fear, and that is the payoff with stories. Okay. So you can see I love this topic because it's just not something I've heard anyone else talk about, and so clearly an issue for so many of us. So why does this matter? The only way to receive love and to fully feel it is through your heart and your body, right? You don't love intellectually. You don't think about it, okay? And consider this. When we try to love intellectually, what we do is we make a list about how good our man is and then wonder why we feel nothing. And go, oh, something must be wrong with me because he's doing all these things that are pretty good, and I have all those things that are pretty good. Why is this not creating fireworks? Why is this not creating deep gratitude and joy and appreciation and connection? It's because you're trying to love with your brain, and it's not going to do it for you. Okay. Now, focusing on positives with your brain is helpful, but it won't get you all the way there. Or you might just feel a mild irritation and frustration because you're not feeling what you want to feel, and you're wondering who is to blame. There's a story, right? It's my fault I can't feel what I feel, or it's his fault we can't feel what I feel. Give up blame, please, for the love. Give up self-blame and blame of your man. So what is the solution to this? What is the solution to the relentless narrative creation and intellectualizing of our feelings? To give up our armor, okay? This is all armor. Your desire to figure him out and contain him in a label so that you won't be hurt again. Oh, he's one of those. Now I know why. I'm not going to be hurt. I'm not going to care. I'm going to expect it, whatever, right? That might feel a little bit better at first. But pretty soon, you're going to feel numb or cold or lonely because you have armored your heart. Loving requires the ability to be hurt. That's what vulnerability is. To trust his heart, to let him in, to know he will hurt your feelings again. He's human. That's a relationship. Are you going to hurt him and pain him again? Yeah. Is he going to do that to you? Yeah. That's the cost. The potential, allowing for the potential of emotional pain is the cost you must pay if you want to go up and up and up, if you want to go deeper, 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 if you want to feel so in love and connected to your man. Does this scare you? That's okay. Fear is showing you where you are cut off. And fear's not bad. It's just an indicator. You can feel that fear and not die. It's true. Your fear wants you to think you'll die, right? It'll be too painful and you'll die. Okay. So bringing this all together, when you spend time and energy focused on your husband's psychology and behaviors, you are subtly and insidiously blocking yourself from receiving the depth of love and devotion you are dreaming of. Okay? You are blocking yourself by living in your stories, by staying stuck in your stories. The cure is to be with and feel all those feelings without escaping them by creating stories about yourself or your husband. Story-free emotional experience. Some of you may have never experienced this before. It does take practice. I know it's easier said than done. And humbly, I'm a fellow traveler in this journey. I can attest that the degree to which you're able to welcome your feelings and feel them is the degree to which you'll be able to create the experience of love that you want in your marriage. It's almost a 1-to-1 ratio. There's other skills involved, don't get me wrong, but this one is central. It's a foundation stone. And you don't have to be a master to do this. Wherever you are in your capacities now to feel, and wherever you are in your marriage, you can make it better. And you can do that forever over time. And to me, that is the good news. That is the gift. It's like, okay, I don't have to tell a story about how we're only going to get to here and that's as good as it gets. I don't have to tell a story about, everyone has their limits. I just got to get over it. I don't have to tell a story about how I have to toughen up and not get my feelings hurt. I get to tell myself a story, which I think is a true story. I've experienced it. My clients have experienced it. That I get to be surprised by how damn good it can get. That when I lay down my armor, I open myself up to beauty and just gorgeous relating. Do I open myself up also to get my feelings hurt? Absolutely. I won't sugarcoat it. Some moments will hurt, but it's so, so, so worth it. So again, if you're not already in my Facebook group for women creating these marriages, come join me. If you desire to go deeper and to create this marriage now, message me. I've got room for one-on-one clients. I also have a program you can take if you want to deep dive right away into all my content, where I have distilled the wisdom that has created the transformations in my life and my clients using the Real Love Method. And Don't delay, because what you want matters. All right? I look forward to hearing from any of you who are interested. Have a wonderful evening. Bye-bye.